Hey guys, Peter from CAIMANS here. So I wanted to just quickly run through how I created a car radio system inside of FMOD, just because it was super fun to do. There are loads of ways to do something like this in FMOD. Even FMOD themselves have an example session of how to create a radio system. But I wanted to do mine from scratch since it's going to be a mini mechanic in the game which will directly influence results in the game. For those of you who don't know, FMOD is one of the softwares available to implement audio and music into a video game. It allows an audio person like me to take more control over the implementation of audio and music in the game, allowing us to have a more immersive end result of the game without the devs being overwhelmed by all the audio stuff and having to figure it all out by themselves. So let's dive right in. Because the radio is going to be directly related to outcomes in our game, I wanted to make sure that I did it in my own way, very believable and very real, like a radio would be in real life, but also at the same time very simple to use in terms of in-game parameters, like changing the volume and changing the radio stations and turning it off and on and all of that. Of course, everything is placeholder, nothing is defined for the game, so I just used some of our own tracks and some things I got off of Splice using 4 different stations or frequencies or whatever you want to call them. Those are just 2 different theme songs we wrote for other projects. And then here we have static radio sample. Just keep looping that. And then here I put like some police kind of dispatch stuff.
A manpower cannon in the bathroom of a gas station at 7th and Alameda. Out at the time. Miles. Train speed 250.
So just some different ones of that inside of a multi-instrument. And all that can be replaced later. So the first thing to kind of get the realism is having each of the audios playing in async so that they're totally independent to each other. So if I press play here, you can see that they each are playing at different times. It's not like if I were to take out the async, they would all play at the same time, exactly the same place. Okay, so to achieve that kind of real radio effect, imagine this is a character who is turning on a radio. It's not pressing play on Spotify or on a CD or anything. No, the song that's playing on the radio is going to be, playing at any given moment. So this radio event will actually start when the player starts the game, but the radio will be off, and that will be controlled through a snapshot. The cool thing about that is that then wherever the game starts, the song, it does not start from scratch, it just starts randomly somewhere due to the start offset, and it keeps going. If the player turns off the radio, that just turns off our snapshot and mutes the whole radio system, but all the tracks keep going as they are. So it's just like a radio in real life. You don't actually pause what you're hearing, you're just basically cutting out the signal. The cool thing about it is that when you change the station, it doesn't mute the tracks. It's like I'm going to switch to station 3 now. It's now playing this, and you see that station 2 is just continuing from where I left off. If I go back to 2, it's still there. Another cool thing to add some realism was the search function. So what I did was each time that you switch station, it randomizes one of these static things to play, and it's done through a sidechain. It will duck the actual volume of what's on the station, and so they get that first kind of frequency to mimic a station change.
Use radar contact at 18 miles.
One more little tool I used just to add a bit more of radio realism. I added a distortion using a low frequency oscillator just to imitate this kind of like cutting in and out of the signal. Very subtle, but I think it adds a bit of realism. If anyone has, driven their car listening to the radio, and sometimes you get this cut of signal in and out. So that's something that I could even maybe modulate this to make it even more real and more random. But I think it's pretty cool. It reminds me of listening to the radio, and sometimes depending if you go close to a certain building or something, or you're closer to a better reception area, you get more of these fluctuations or less of these fluctuations. And then of course just cut some low frequencies and shifted some mids here, just because the character's car will be in a low reception area, so we don't want that crystal clear quality of sound. We want more of a lo-fi kind of feel. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope this was informative or enjoyable in some way. If it was, drop a like or a comment and subscribe to the channel to show your support. Don't forget to check out the links for more CAIMANS stuff. Hit me up on Instagram if you'd like to chat more about game audio, and check out our Bandcamp for some of our music. See you around.